There were nights I held him tight and felt nothing. Not the warmth I used to know, not the quiet strength in his chest, just breath and silence and the heavy stillness of a man drifting further away. He was there beside me, but he wasn't truly there. You don't always notice it at first. The way a smile fades quicker than before, the touch that no longer lingers, the eyes that used to search for you in a room, now just pass over you like you're part of the wallpaper. For years, I told myself, it's just stress, or he's tired, or maybe this is what getting older looks like. But deep inside, I missed the man I married. Not the strong arms or the voice that made promises, but the fire behind those eyes, the spark that told me, I'm here, I see you, I still want life. And the truth is, that spark had been flickering for nearly 20 years. He stopped teasing me in the kitchen. He stopped reaching for my hand on quiet drives. He stopped speaking up for himself, even in small things. It was like he slowly disappeared while the world kept spinning. I tried everything polite wives are told to try. Be patient. Be supportive. Wait. But what no one tells you is how lonely that wait becomes when your partner has faded into someone you no longer recognize. And then, something small, something unexpected, changed the course of our days. Not a pill, not a surgery, not even a therapy session, just a whisper from a woman I met at the farmer's market. She handed me a small bottle with a warm scent and said, "It brought my husband back. Not overnight, but enough for me to see his eyes again." I wasn't sure what to believe, but I tried. And what happened next made me believe in second chances. So today, if you're watching this, if you're a wife still waiting, or a man quietly grieving the version of yourself that used to feel alive, stay with me. This is not about sex. It's not about looking young again. It's about finding your way back to the person you used to be and the love you still deserve to feel. If this speaks to you even a little, please like this video, leave a comment if you felt something similar, and don't forget to subscribe. You're not alone. I found an old formula: Cayenne, seed oil, and a little hope. It didn't start with a doctor. It started with a conversation between two women who'd both watched the light fade from their husbands' eyes and didn't want to give up. I met her at the farmer's market while picking out rosemary. She looked maybe 10 years older than me, but her posture, her laugh, it had a weightless kind of grace I hadn't felt in a long time. We got to talking, not about health, about men, about how quiet they become when they're no longer sure who they are. And then she said something I didn't expect. It's not just hormones, dear. Sometimes they stop believing there's still something inside worth waking up. She told me about her husband, how he shut down after retirement, how he slept too much, smiled too little, and how one morning something changed. It wasn't magic, she said, handing me a tiny dark glass bottle. Just Cayenne, a seed oil, and a little faith. I stared at it. Ancient oil? Really? But there was something about her tone, not desperate, not salesy, just steady, like someone who had walked through the fog and come out the other side. That night, I sat at our kitchen table long after he went to bed, reading. I wasn't looking for a miracle cure. I just wanted to feel like I was doing something. What I found was not some exotic herb or impossible regimen. It was simple, natural, even beautiful in its quiet logic. A blend of cayenne, gentle warmth to awaken the blood. A seed oil, rich and earthy, with compounds that helped flow where flow had gone missing. And beetroot, pomegranate, rosemary, things I'd passed 100 times at the grocery store, never knowing they could do more than feed a body. They could reach a soul. I started making it slowly, each step like a quiet prayer, not for performance, but for presence. I didn't even tell him at first. I just began adding it to a small cup in the mornings. "Try this," I said. It's good for your heart." He smiled politely, drank it, and on the fourth day, something flickered in his voice again. Not loud, not fast, but real. He looked at me after breakfast and said, "That walk yesterday felt good." He hadn't said anything about how he felt in months, and in that moment, I didn't need science or proof. I just needed what I saw in his face, a glimpse of the man who used to laugh with his whole chest. This was the beginning, and if you've been waiting for your beginning, I'm about to walk you through the simple formula that gave me mine. The change wasn't in his body. It was in his eyes. It didn't happen all at once. There was no big moment, no dramatic transformation like in the movies. But one morning, I was pouring coffee, and I caught him looking at me. Really looking. Not the distracted glance of someone waiting for the day to end. Not the tired stare of a man going through the motions. It was something I hadn't seen in a long time. Curiosity. Warmth. A flicker of the man who once used to wink at me across the dinner table. I didn't say anything. I just smiled. Quietly. Because I knew better than to chase it too fast. Some things return slowly, like dawn, and over the next few days, it was in the little things. He started opening the window in the morning again. He started humming while fixing the gate. And one night, as we lay in bed, I felt his hand reach for mine, not out of habit, but with intention. It wasn't about sex. It wasn't even about romance. It was about presence. It was about him being here, not lost in the fog. You see, what that little blend of cayenne and seed oil stirred inside him, it wasn't just circulation. It was memory, muscle memory of what it feels like to take up space, to take initiative, to be a man who doesn't need fixing, just reminding. Reminding that he still matters, that his body hasn't betrayed him. It's been waiting for him to listen. And I'll be honest, I didn't realize how much I missed him until parts of him started returning. The way he stood a little taller, the way he laughed when I teased him, the way he looked at me in the mirror while shaving, like he still wanted to be seen. I never told him what was in the cup. Not yet. Because this wasn't about convincing him. It was about letting him feel it for himself. And he did. He didn't say, "I feel young again." He said, "I feel here again." And maybe, for men who've spent years feeling invisible, that's the greater miracle, not a performance. But presence? The simple power behind each ingredient. He never liked complicated things. Not in life, not in food, not in healing. So when I found that old blend in my grandmother's notebook, tucked between soup recipes and a prayer for strength, it just made sense. It was simple, honest, and somehow it felt like home. The first thing I added was cayenne. Just a pinch. It wasn't there to burn, but to wake up. Cayenne is heat, but not the kind that overwhelms. It's the gentle kind. The kind that reminds your blood it still knows how to move, how to reach the corners that have grown cold from stillness. It reminded him that he still had warmth left to give to his hands, his heart, his connection. Then I added cold-pressed seed oil, the kind that feels almost ancient in its simplicity. It's grounding, quiet. It doesn't shout, but it rebuilds. In old traditions, they used seed oil not just for the body, but for the spirit. It coats the fire of cayenne with a steadiness, a calm anchor to keep the heat from fading too fast. Beetroot juice came next. Earthy, humble, full of something science calls nitrates, but I call them reminders. Reminders that the heart is more than a muscle, that when it opens up, it sends life into every other part of you. His hands grew warmer, his eyes brighter. Pomegranate was for strength, not the loud, pounding kind, but the kind that quietly repairs what time has worn down. In ancient stories, pomegranate symbolized renewal, fertility, hope. In this drink, it brought a rich, deep pulse, a fullness that felt like music returning to a silent room. And then, rosemary. Not for flavor, for clarity. It's the scent of memory, of focus, of I'm still here. When I brewed it into tea and added it to the cup, I swear, I saw something lift from his shoulders. And finally, I pressed 2 fresh oranges. Because healing doesn't have to taste like medicine. It can be bright, alive, full of light. A spoon of raw honey to tie it all together, to make it smooth, gentle, to whisper to his nervous system, "You are safe here." That's all it was. No pills, no side effects, just ingredients that had waited patiently for someone to believe in their power again. And when he drank it, I saw something stir, not in his muscles, in his presence. Like his body finally realized it still belongs to him. When vitality isn't just about the bedroom. For a long time, I thought I was missing the man who used to hold me closer at night. But the truth ran deeper. I wasn't longing for just intimacy. I was grieving the slow disappearance of his spirit. Because vitality, true vitality, isn't just about what happens under the sheets. It's in the way he stands, the way he laughs without hesitation, the way he looks at me when I walk into the room as if I'm still the only woman in it. You see, I watched his confidence fade not just in our bedroom, but in everyday moments. The way he hesitated before taking the stairs, the way he avoided mirrors, the way he sat in silence during dinners with old friends, offering only polite smiles instead of playful stories. Something inside him had curled inward, not broken, but tired. And no doctor could give me a prescription for that. But that simple drink, it was more than a blend of spices and juice. It was a gesture, a small signal to his body, "You're not done yet," and to his soul, "You're allowed to return." The first time he walked out to the mailbox without wincing at his knees, I noticed. The first time he reached for my hand without looking away, I felt it. And the night he leaned in and kissed me without a single word, just presence, I cried, not because of lust, but because of life. Because in that moment, I saw the man I married, not the way he was 20 years ago, but the way he was meant to become. Wiser, softer, stronger, in ways no gym could build. This wasn't about restoring youth. It was about restoring ownership of his body, his voice, his choices, and that is a kind of intimacy no pill can offer. So to the men watching this, if you felt like you've been quietly disappearing, if you've been showing up for everyone but yourself, please know this. Your presence still matters. You're not invisible. You're not forgotten. And you're certainly not too far gone. Sometimes all it takes is a small act of care to remind the world and yourself that you're still here. If you're still watching this, it means you haven't given up on yourself. And I want to tell you, neither have I. I know life hasn't been gentle on your body. I know you carry stories in your silence, wounds you've never spoken, fears you'd never dare name. But I see you. Not the version the world expects, not the one who pretends everything's fine. I see the one who used to wake up early with fire in his chest, and now wonders if he's slowly fading from his own story. I see the man who still wants to feel needed, wanted, even if he can't say it out loud. And I want you to hear this. You are still here, and that is enough to begin again. You don't need to climb mountains. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to perform. You just need to remember that your presence, your touch, your smile, your voice still has power, still matters. To me, to your family, to yourself. This ancient oil, this blend, this simple ritual, it's not a cure, it's not a miracle, it's a reminder that even after years of dimming, your light can return. Because the decline isn't final, and your spirit never truly left. Sometimes it just needs a little warmth to rise again. So to every man who's ever whispered, "I'm not who I used to be," let me say this. You are still becoming. And the best parts of you? They might be just ahead. If any part of this story felt like yours, if you saw yourself, even for a second, drop a small word in the comments below. Still here. Not for me, but for yourself, so you never forget. You were never alone, and your journey, your healing, has just begun. Leave a comment, like this video, and subscribe if your heart tells you it's time. Until next time, keep choosing life. Keep choosing you.